Hello everybody and welcome to this very special review, at least to me, of the anidees AI Crystal mid-tower case equipped with lots of tempered glass for both side panels as well as for the front. The latest trend is to add more and more glass to cases, but so far there was no case manufacturer that seems to design it the way I want it personally. That has changed with the AI Crystal. Quite honestly, I fell in love with this case the first time I saw it, so that's why I'm really excited here today. Right away I can tell you, however, it is not the perfect case, but it does come close to being one in my opinion. Currently it comes in at a pretty attractive price of about $150. That's pretty good for the amount of glass featured. Thank you so much anidees for sending me this case to take a look at. The case arrived well protected in its box, along with all the accessories such as screws, standoffs, cable ties, as well as the installation guide. The AI Crystal comes in at dimensions of 21.6 by 49.7 by 47.5 centimeters. Mid-tower case type, supported motherboard form factors E-ATX 12 by 13 inches, SSI EEB, ATX, Micro ATX, and Mini ATX. Two 3.5/2.5 inch HDD trays, as well as three 2.5 inch SSD mounting points, 7 expansion slots, ATX power supply support bottom mounted, 3 pre-installed 140mm 1100 RPM white LED fans in the front, as well as a 140mm white LED fan on the rear. Fan support at the top up to 3 120mm or up to 2 140mm fans. As for the front, up to 3 120mm or 3 140mm ones. On the rear, a 120 or 140mm fan. Radiator support in the front 120/140/240/280/360mm radiators, 63mm total clearance for the fan and radiator. At the top 120/140/240/280/360mm radiators, 60mm clearance. On the rear, a 120/140mm radiator, 17.5 cm max CPU cooler height, 41 cm max graphics card length, and 20 cm max power supply length. 10.9 kilograms net weight, and 2 USB 3.0 and 2 USB 2.0 ports, along with the mic in and audio out jacks. Also a 3-speed fan controller with a fan hub that supports up to 5 fans. The very first impression I have about this anidees AI Crystal is amazing. It looks absolutely stunning, very elegant and minimalistic. The shape is what I personally already like a lot about this case, and that paired with a large amount of tempered glass truly looks magnificent. Tempered glass panels are on both side panels as well as in the front. The top is just steel. The glass is 5mm thick, feels very well made, and is tinted to add that mysterious look to it, with the white LEDs of the fans shining through. That's spectacular on a whole new level in my opinion. The side panels are affixed by 4 thumb screws respectively, with rubber washers in between on both sides to prevent damage to the glass. The entire case in fact seems to be of high quality with good materials used. The front panel features vents for the fans on the sides, and the panel itself is relatively easy to remove. As with most modern cases these days, no 5¼ inch drive base anymore. At the top, that's where we are getting nice I/O with white lit power and reset buttons, and a fan controller that comes with 3 settings, 12, 5 and 0 volts. Unfortunately, the white LEDs of the fan seem to be linked with the fan speed, so they are the brightest when running at 12 volts, and they don't light up at all at 0 volts. In terms of dust filters, there's a big magnetic one on the top, an even bigger magnetic one in the front, and a removable dust filter at the very bottom for the PSU. As you can see, the PSU and its cables are hidden by this non-removable steel cover, sporting a hole in it with a rubber grommet. I just wish there was at least one more cutout hole somewhere more in the middle for easier routing of those USB header connections and the like. All the expansion cards are screwed into place not on the inside of the case, but on the outside instead. The HDDs and SSDs cannot be seen on the main side, but on the other side in fact. Metal HDD trays come into play here, with rubber pads to reduce vibration noise, and the installation of any of the drives isn't toolless though, but I'm not complaining. The SSD brackets are mounted behind the motherboard tray. Of course, we're also getting a large CPU cutout hole for easier CPU cooler installations. Also, there's a good amount of holes to route the cables through, but surprisingly no rubber grommets. Not that big of a deal with this case luckily. The two big holes are covered by this so-called graphics card holder out of plastic. And that one seems to be working. At least if my GPU was a bit longer, it would hold the PCB perfectly. Behind the motherboard tray, there's only about a centimeter of clearance to work on cables. That could potentially lead to some problems depending on how many cables you have to have back here. The power supply rests on rubber feet and even is elevated inside the case, so it can breathe more easily. Also 4 big case feet. Now, since I'm going to use this AI crystal for my personal main rig, I took the time to install all my hardware into this beauty of a case. While certain aspects are fairly tight, a very close fit at times, when it comes to the installation procedure, in the end I could install everything the way I wished without compromises. Except this case does not support a third 3.5-inch HD, so that one had to go, but I'll take care of it with an external hard drive enclosure anyway. I should let you know that I did add some extra white LED strips to really make my component shine. As you can see, extraordinarily long graphics cards can be installed, no problem. And additionally, I have 2 sound cards installed. Hiding cables worked like a charm, especially that graphics card holder is really handy in that aspect. Good airflow can be achieved in the AI crystal. However, I should let you know I did encounter some problems with getting the second side panel back on with all the cables on the other side. I tried keeping the amount and runs to a minimum, but the end result for me is I don't want to fix the screws on the glass panel all the way to avoid damage. I didn't want to apply too much pressure on the glass. Still, I'd considered the panel to be secured in place. So the anidees AI crystal is one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful case in the market for me right now. It really wins me over with its very clean minimalistic look and the large amount of glass. But it's not just the aesthetics. Even though I've worked with easier to handle cases, this one does support high-end components, including some really beefy liquid cooling radiators. The only main dark side here for me personally is the lack of clearance on the other side for cable management. The price of $150 is more than alright, especially compared to similar cases with glass of the competition. Now, despite some imperfections, it still is my new favorite case of all for now. I can definitely recommend the anidees AI crystal. Because of the excellent aesthetics, I'm giving this case my gold award. Also, I'd like to thank anidees for providing me 3 of their new AI Halo 120mm fans. A single fan costs about $15 and it's available in red, green and blue versions. anidees sent me the red ones. These are well-made fans, really quiet with 24.8 decibels at 1200 RPM, airflow 39.8 CFM. As you can see, the AI Halo does look a bit different than most other fans in the market, and I see where they got their name Halo from. However, I'll keep the 3 white pre-installed fans in the AI crystal, but I just wanted to inform you guys about these new fans that go really well with the AI crystal. Thanks a lot for watching and see you in the next one.